Joining our coverage, Senator Sheldon Whitehouse, Democratic senator from Rhode Island, member of the Senate Judiciary Committee. I want to put up this fantastic new way to draw the public's attention to the epic scale of the corruption on the gifts front. This is Clarence Thomas's list of gifts and growing. Let me put that up. Time to ask you all the questions we want to ask you and play the whole thing, but it is a powerful new way to illustrate the depths of what we've been talking about, the incredible disparity between public service and transparency and the growing numbers of Americans who do not trust this Supreme Court.
Yeah, there are 25 different significant gifts that have been not disclosed, and probably more that we could find out about. That's just what we know about that has come up publicly but not disclosed. Luckily, the Judicial Conference is looking at whether or not to make the filing requirements retroactive when they recently cleaned up after the Scalia trick. So if they say what they said to me, that it's a clarification, then that means it was always the rule, and they'll have to go back and we'll get even more information. So this is just what we know, but it could be even worse.
I mean, Senator, what do you make of this moment? You know, we find ourselves on the precipice of learning whether or not these justices believe that a president is functionally a king in America. It would change not just what Americans think of the presidency, but what the world thinks of America. And, you know, no decision today. It's not clear that everything will be done in a week. What do you think is going on?
Well, first of all, bravo on the Lithwick Elias Weissman panel. That's a pretty smoking group. I think what's going on is that they know that they can't make a decision that is the least bit credible that actually grants Trump immunity. So the court, or a segment of it that can slow down the process, is, as Weissman said, giving him de facto immunity by slowing down the process. This is a court that knows how to meet a deadline. They decided the Colorado case about Trump, the 14th Amendment case, in 25 days because he needed to be put on the ballot in Colorado. They decided Bush v. Gore in 1 day after oral argument. So all this foot dragging that we're seeing now has every appearance of being strategic and deliberate by at least some justices trying to give Trump every window he can to avoid accountability for his criminal actions. He's quite a unique criminal in the way he's treated by this court.
It feels like an extraordinary moment, even for this court. And you add to it the personal ties to the insurrection in the homes of Justice Alito and Justice Thomas. Do you view this as an extraordinary moment for the court? And does that require an extraordinary response from the Senate Judiciary Committee?
I think it requires an extraordinary response from Congress writ large. I hope we'll get a vote on my Supreme Court ethics bill. But as you pointed out, there's more to this than just their ethics problems. All of these decisions interconnect, these troublesome decisions. There's a through line. The billionaires who funded the effort that put these justices on the court want the relief from pollution regulations that they've been getting from the court. They want Trump elected so that he'll lower their taxes. And here's the court delivering Trump to them. And you kind of go piece by piece through all of the troublesome decisions. And the constant through line is not originalism, and it's not conservatism, and it's not anything doctrinal. It's that the far right billionaires who put them on the court win. They may win just a little instead of a lot, but it's enough that the direction is clear, the pattern is obvious, and the pattern is incredibly damaging to the institution of the court.
What's amazing is that you don't have a partner on the court. I mean, the beneficiary of more transparency, of an ethics code that matches that of other federal judges, the beneficiary is the Supreme Court. I mean, are there any back channels to anyone there to try to get them to row in the same direction?
The closest that I've been able to find is to engage with the Judicial Conference, which is the body of very senior chief judges that oversees the judicial branch and also oversees ethics disclosure and so forth, discipline. So they know whereof they speak. And when they see the justices doing stuff that is clearly unacceptable in their own courts, they've been helpful. They blew up the Scalia trick of recruiting resort owners to give them free vacations and pretending that the personal invitation made it personal hospitality. They just required a lot more transparency from the amicus curiae briefs through which the billionaires communicate to the justices. So there's some real, I think, distress and concern among other judges. But the court itself, haven't seen a peep, not out of even the ones appointed by Democratic presidents.
I mean, Mark Elias, I want to bring you back, and now that the senator has hailed you all as fabulous as we think you are, I feel like I can bring us all into the same conversation. Mark Elias, the business-friendly agenda is one piece of it. The other is the voter-unfriendly piece of it. I played part of the interview with former Attorney General Eric Holder yesterday, but the hostility, the anti-democratic pattern is also one that can be pretty well established at this point.
Yeah, so first of all, I want to point out that when we talk about gifts and we talk about disclosure, we have shifted the Overton window a long way. I mean, the question is not just why haven't these gifts been disclosed, but why are they accepting them? I mean, when Andrew Weissman was a federal prosecutor, I couldn't buy him dinner. Literally, I couldn't buy him dinner without him violating the gift rules. So we need to be asking the question, why are they accepting the gifts, not just why aren't they disclosing them? But to answer your question about the voting rights, look, we haven't seen a pro-voting decision out of the Supreme Court in a really long time. We've seen cases where we've won, but that's largely to maintain the status quo. So, my team won the big Alabama case last term in the U.S. Supreme Court, but that was just preserving a Voting Rights Act victory that had been won at the trial court. We also won last term the independent state legislature theory case. But that was a fringe right-wing theory that people were afraid they were going to adopt. So when they didn't adopt it, it was a victory. But it wasn't actually advancing voting rights. It was just stopping the bad things from happening. So we need a court system that is avowedly pro-democracy. We need a judicial system that puts free and fair elections above other business rights. We need, frankly, bar associations and lawyers and law schools and law firms to say that attacking democracy, that attacking the bedrock underpinnings of free and fair elections is not acceptable behavior. And so there really is a lot of work here for the court to do, for the bar to do, for lawyers to do, for other judges to do, because we are fighting every day against a growing threat that we are nearing the end of an American democratic experiment, and that totalitarianism and authoritarianism will replace free and fair elections with the kind of crony capitalism and fake democracy that we have seen sweep many other countries in history.
I mean, Senator Whitehouse, I'll give you the last word with a question. I mean, with the stakes as high as you've all articulated here today, would you consider having hearings around the country and listening to, I mean, is there a role for the public to play 5 months ahead of an election to understand the stakes of the election? Is the person who wins will decide who goes on the court next?
Yeah, I think it is incumbent on all of us in the Senate, in the House, and the president himself and his campaign to explain clearly to the American people what's at stake here. That billionaires who could never get their policies adopted, even by Republican-controlled chambers of Congress, instead went to the court because it is not democratically sensitive, and installed people there who would do their bidding, and they've been giving them the direction, and they've been winning. And as a result, they've been changing the very nature of America in their favor in ways that the public doesn't want, that don't align with our history, but that the court is enforcing. And that makes it a real danger. And we have to appreciate that danger in order to appreciate how important this November's election is going to be.
Senator Sheldon Whitehouse, Mark Elias.